Good morning, everybody.
So I will read each sentence and then we will see whether it is clear. Okay. So I'll do one thing. Let's remind ourselves of what you said in the previous paragraph. It will help. Okay. Just 1 second. Yeah, I've got the summary. So now Sridhar was saying in the previous paragraph, let us look at how this ignorance, knowledge of the divided many, okay, is struggling towards knowledge. How is it going slowly upwards towards knowledge? Ignorance is going towards knowledge. The multiplicity is going towards one. The darkness is slowly going towards the light, upwards. So how is it going? Simply saying, is struggling towards knowledge. Knowledge of the identical. Okay, the identical also we had a discussion yesterday. Okay, knowledge of the identical. This ignorance in man is a mental consciousness. Although in the animal and plant, it takes more obscure forms. In the plant, it is almost physical consciousness, physical vital, and in mind, in animal, it is vital consciousness. Mostly in man, it is mental consciousness. Okay, it's going slowly upwards. Then he says, what is this knowledge and what is ignorance? Actually, it is nothing but waves, vibrations of substance and force, energy, Shakti, okay, which come into the individual being and also which go out from the individual being. These substance and force actually is the same. So the substance and force is coming into you and going out of you, and that is really ignorance and knowledge. Okay? Knowledge is knowing at least something. Ignorance is knowing less, and knowledge is knowing more. Okay? There is a gradation. This substance and force is the stuff of consciousness, which becomes mental cognition, mind, and mentalized sensation vital in time and space. Mentalized sensation is vital in time and space. Normally, the mental individual lives in the present. Okay? He is very busy with whatever he is seeing around him and in the present. By memory, he saves some of the experience from evanescence, it disappears, and by thought, will, and action. Okay? Man utilizes what he understands for the present and the future life. All his experiences he coordinates by perception, memory, and intelligence. These are all characteristics of the mental consciousness. Perception, memory, and intelligence. For his future life, he utilizes all this experience by these three instruments for his future life. All this collection of information is organized and centralized by his ego, which is a creation of nature. All movements of body, life, mind are ego-centered and ego-based. Even his altruism is ego-motivated. The necessity of ego persists so long as he has not found his true self. This self is a spiritual being which is everything at the same time. Okay? It is wheel, spokes, and circumference. This is called the consciousness. This is what he said. Okay? Now he is saying something else. Let's see what he said. So, when you rise above the mind, you enter into the cosmic consciousness, and that cosmic consciousness, you are aware of your own existence, that's the center, and you are also aware of all the spokes and the center is not such spokes, but he has said circumference. Circumference is the universe outside you. Okay. Now I read each sentence from the next paragraph. But the moment we study ourselves inwardly, not outwardly, we find that our self-experience, which we thus coordinate and consciously utilize for life, is a small part even of our waking individual consciousness. Even what we know of ourselves is a very small thing. That's what it is. We fasten only upon a very limited number of the mental sensations and perceptions of self and things, of self within ourselves. I know I was angry, I know I was in a depressed mood, I was happy. These are all perceptions of self and things outside myself, okay, which come up into our surface consciousness in our continual present. The present is always continuing. Of these again, memory saves up only a scanty part from the oblivious gulf of the past. The past we remember very little. We don't remember much. We may feel that, oh, some people remember very well. But even that is nothing compared to what you should actually know. Because you are the universe. And the universe, whatever is in the universe, you should know because you are the universe. But you don't. Okay. So, of the storings of energy, of the storings of memory, our intelligence utilizes only a small portion for coordinated knowledge. Will utilizes a still smaller percentage of action. So, in another place, he has said that all knowledge, all energy, all consciousness is available to us. But it's like I have a huge bank balance. Okay? This image here is used elsewhere. But we are only drawing small change. That's all. Okay? The whole thing is available to us, but we don't know how to use it. We know we only use small change. So, for the storings of memory of our intelligence utilizes only a small portion for coordinated knowledge. Coordinated knowledge. Will utilizes still smaller percentage of action. A narrow selection, a large rejection or reservation, a miserly spendthrift system of waste of material and an unemployment of resources, and a scanty and disorderly modicum of useful spending and utilizable balance seems to be the method of nature in our conscious becoming, even as it is in the field of the material universe. He is talking of waste, okay? He is talking of waste, and so much is available to us, but we use very little, okay? Even scientifically, if we see this, okay, we see that we are using only 1/10 of our brain capacity. This science has found out that we are using only 1/10 of our brain capacity. And when you go to the spiritual level, then you are utilizing much more of what is available to you, but you are not using in the lower level. Okay? So, at the highest level, you are everything. So you have the full knowledge of everything. Okay? I'll read that sentence again. A narrow selection. Whatever is available to us, we are using only a very narrow selection. But we are rejecting a lot. A large rejection or reservation. I'll use this for the future. I won't use it now. That's reservation. Okay? Like I get a huge amount of, let us say, rice, and I take a small part only for my lunch and dinner, and the rest I keep away for the future. Okay, that's reservation. So all the information that we are getting, but much of it is rejected as useless. Okay, small things will have no importance for us immediately, or reservation. And the system simply is calling it a miserly spendthrift system of waste of material. Spendthrift, spending largely, utilizing, and even almost amounting to wasting of money. Okay, spendthrift, no thinking, just go on spending. Spendthrift system. Just once again, am I saying that correctly? That is a spendthrift. One second. Spendthrift. profligate, extravagant meaning, extravagant. Expensive. A person who spends money in an extraordinary, irresponsible way. That's what it means. So what I'm saying is correct. Okay? So, miserly spendthrift. I use very little and the rest is all being spent uselessly. Okay? That's what it means. A miserly spendthrift system of waste of material. Much of what is available to us, we don't use. Okay? This also seems to be the system in nature. Okay? You will see that, in fact, this question also he has discussed elsewhere. The waste in nature. Okay? And it is something which we find sometimes very funny. Okay? When a flood comes, there's so much of waste of food and crops and land and everything. Then, or when you see this phenomenon of waste everywhere in nature. Let us take a fish. Okay, it lays hundreds and hundreds of eggs. Okay, but only some survive. Okay, even when it is not hundreds, let us say a leopard gives 3 cubs. It gives birth to 3 cubs. Only one will survive. Okay? So what is this waste? He has discussed elsewhere that being just because you can't see what is waste, you feel it is waste, but actually it is not. Okay, because those other 2 cubs will be eaten up by other animals. So it is serving other animals. So things like that. Okay? So this is what he's saying, that everything has got a meaning. There's no waste in nature actually. That's what he's saying. But we are wasting a lot of what is available to us. Our information of the past lives and also information that is coming from the physical world also to us. We are using very little. Okay. Miserly spendthrift system of waste of material and unemployment of resources. Okay. Much is available to us, but we don't use it. And a scanty and disorderly modicum. Scanty and disorderly modicum. Modicum, a minimum amount, okay, of useful spending. So even on much of the spending that we do is spendthrift, useless spending. And useful spending is very little. And utilizable balance. Okay, all that you are utilizing is very small balance. Seems to be the method of nature in a conscious becoming, even as it is in the field of material universe. So this phenomenon of waste and not utilizing everything. Nature is giving you a huge amount, but you are not utilizing at all. This phenomenon of waste is there everywhere if you see carefully. Okay? We grow rice and wheat. By the time it reaches the human being, much is wasted. Much is wasted in the field, much is wasted by other animals and birds eating it. And when it is stored in the storehouses also, much of it is wasted because of the insects attacking and all sorts of other things. Okay, so this is the, everywhere you see this waste. And he's saying, even when we examine ourselves, we find that individual, human being also is wasting a lot. But this is only in appearance. Actually, there is no waste. For it would be a wholly untrue account. A wholly untrue account. My page is jumped. Just one second. Okay. But this is only in appearance. For it would be a wholly untrue account to say that all that is not thus saved up and utilized is destroyed, becomes null, and has passed away ineffectually and in vain. This is not true because everything is kept. Okay? Everything that happens in the universe is preserved. Nothing is thrown away. Nothing goes to destruction. Everything is kept. All the records. Okay? There is a very interesting Meditations on Savitri is a very large book. Okay, 9 by 11 size, very large A4 size. Okay, in which there are paintings. Mother has made some paintings where everything that happens in the physical world is preserved, and you can actually get access to them. All you have to do is to go into your intraconscious and focus on what you want to, and you will get it. That's also the method of hypnotism. Okay, so it's like a library, index cards. Okay, If you want the book, you go to the librarian and you tell him either the name of the author or the book, and he will go to the index cabinet and he will fish out what you want. And then it will tell you that it is on 3rd floor, 5th room, 6th cupboard, 2nd shelf. Okay, so you get exactly the book. So this is exactly how it works in the intraconscious also. In the intraconscious, everything is preserved, and you can actually access it. So that's what he's saying here. A great, but this is only in appearance, for it will be wholly untrue account to say that all that is not thus saved up and utilized is destroyed. It is not destroyed, becomes null and has passed away ineffectually and in vain. Now, sir, will explain. A great part of it has been quietly used by nature herself to form us and actuates that sufficiently large mass of our growth and becoming and action for which our conscious memory, will and intelligence are not responsible. So what is he saying? He's saying that we are being molded by nature. All the information that we have gathered in the past lives is being used by nature. We are not conscious of it, but nature is creating our character. Our present character is molded and built by all the past experience of all our former lives. It's not wasted at all. Nature is using. You may not be conscious, but nature is using. You can become conscious when you go into the higher consciousness. Then you see, oh, this is what I was in this life. So now that is also contributing here. This is this difficulty that came, and I thought it was a horrible thing. Now I see how it has helped me. Okay. So all these times, when you rise in consciousness, you can become. You understand all the events of your life, how they have helped you to come to what you are now. Okay. That's what he's saying. A still greater, for which we are not responsible, he's saying. Okay. We are not responsible, but nature is using that to guide us and build us. Inwardly, not the body, mind, life, but the inward character. A still greater part is used by her, nature, as a store from which she draws and which she utilizes. Okay? So, they are not conscious of it, but nature is drawing as from a store from which she draws and which she utilizes, while we ourselves have utterly forgotten the origin and provenance of this material, which we find ourselves employing with a deceptive sense of creation. So what he's saying is, we feel that we are creating something, but actually you are not creating. It is nature which is presenting you with this thing, and from your past lives. And you are utilizing and you are thinking you are doing something new, but actually it is not something new at all. It is nature has had it inside her, and now nature is presenting you outside. Okay? I'll give you 2-3 examples. Okay? One was Sri Aurobindo own experience. Actually, Sri Aurobindo only. I'll give you examples of Sri Aurobindo. As I told you, I think yesterday, he was going on finding fault with the military strategy in the Second World War. And when they asked him that, how do you know so much about military strategy? He said, not in this life. In other words, when he was Augustus Caesar, okay, he naturally had to have knowledge of the military strategy. And that was stored in the background. But when he rose and became conscious of himself spiritually, then that knowledge also became useful. So nature had preserved that knowledge and is now giving it to him, and it is coming forward. That's one example. The other example is when he was in jail, okay, Sri Aurobindo was never a painter or an artist. He was a poet. Okay? But he was also Leonardo da Vinci in his previous life, if you remember, and he was an artist. But in this life, that artist capacity completely went into the background. Nature hid it from him. Okay? I'm just elaborating on what Sri Aurobindo is saying here. Nature had hidden it from him. But when he was in jail, suddenly these faculties which are there in the background suddenly arose. And he says that I could understand everything about composition, color, mass, lines, everything about graphic arts I could understand. So that came from his past life. That's what Sri Aurobindo is saying here. Now I read that sentence again with this background, you will understand immediately what he's saying. A still greater part is used by her, nature, as a store from which she draws and which she utilizes, while we ourselves have utterly forgotten the origin and provenance of this material, which we find ourselves employing with a deceptive sense of creation. We feel we are doing something new. Actually, it's not new at all. It is coming from the past. For we imagine we are creating this new material of our world when we are only combining, results out of that which we have forgotten, but nature in us has remembered. Okay? If we admit rebirth as part of a system, we shall realize that all experience has its use. What was there in past lives, we are using now. Okay? For all experience counts in this prolonged building of character. And nothing is rejected except what has exhausted its utility and would be a burden on the future. So there is a real rejection also, which is useful. But much of the rejection is not useful. Nature remembers and uses, okay? Which will be a burden on the future. A judgment from what appears now in our conscious surface is fallacious. If you judge only from what you are at present in this life, that would be a mistake. That's what Sridhar is saying. For when we study and understand, we perceive that only a little of our action, just 1 second. We perceive, for when we study and understand, we perceive that only a little of our action and growth of again, I've lost the text. Just 1 second. I'm sorry, my tablet is playing tricks on me. But anyway, they are understanding what he's saying. So, yeah, I've got it. No, I've not got it. Next one. Ma. And come to 576. Yeah, finally I've got it. Okay, so and so what Sridhar is saying here, for when we study and understand, we perceive that only a little of our action and growth of only a little of our action and growth in us is conscious. Okay, the bulk of it is carried on subconsciously, as in the rest of our material life. Okay? We are not only what we know of ourselves, but an immense more which we do not know. Our momentary personality is only a bubble on the ocean of our existence. So that we know that we are a small knot. Our body is a small knot of huge, vast matter, and our vital also is exactly a small knot of prana from the vast plane of pranic energy, and exactly in the same way. So we are actually the subconscious, the inconscient, the intraconscient, the superconscient, and the circumconscient. We are all this, but we don't know about it. Okay? The wave does not know that it is part of the sea. That's what Selvi said. Then we are not only what we know of ourselves, but an immense more which we do not know. Our momentary personality is only a bubble on the ocean of our existence. Remember, the chapter is the boundaries of ignorance. He is telling you now, he has told you how ignorant we are. So, and where does this ignorance end and where does knowledge begin? That's the whole chapter. So, it's 27. So, we have still got some time. We can read the next paragraph. A superficial observation. Okay. Yeah.
A superficial observation of our waking consciousness shows us that of a great part of our individual being and becoming we are quite ignorant. It is to us the inconscient just as much as the life of the plant, the metal, the earth, the elements. But if we carry out knowledge further, pushing psychological experiment and observation beyond their normal bounds, we find how vast is the sphere of this supposed inconscient or this subconscient in our total existence. The subconscient so seeming and so called by us because it is a concealed consciousness. And what a small and fragmentary portion of our being is covered by our waking and self-awareness. We arrive at the knowledge that our waking mind and ego are only a supreme position upon a subliminal self, or so that self appears to us, or more accurately, an inner being with a much vaster capacity of experience. Our mind and ego are like the crown and dome of a temple jutting out from the waves, while the great body of the building is submerged under the surface of the water.
So exactly in the, he is using the image of a big temple which has got submerged. But we can also use the image of the iceberg. Okay. What you see above is only 1/10. 9/10 of the iceberg is below the water level.
Rangada,
Yeah,
the last word, it has written waters.
Yeah, waters. The surface of the waters. He's talking of surface, the sea, no? He's talking of the sea, which is, we know that happens, no? We know, for instance, that our Dwarka, the kingdom of Sri Krishna, went underground, went under the sea. It is still there. Okay. So that's what he's saying. Similarly, what we know of ourselves superficially is only small part. The rest of it is all below. That's what he's saying.
No, what I am telling is they are written S. Why it is S to water? Waters.
The surface of the waters. He's talking of the seas. Yeah. Waters, plural. You are asking why it is plural. Seas. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a collective noun, you know. There are collective nouns, like for instance, sheep. Okay. Sheep is plural. You don't say sheeps. Okay. So this is when he says waters, he is talking of all the waters everywhere. Okay. All the seas. That's what it means. So if you had said water, it would not be wrong, but it would be very narrow and not very English. This is the master of English. Surface of the waters. So he's talking of all the oceans everywhere, wherever it is. Okay. So very interesting what he's saying. Huh? So, we have, nearly 10 minutes here. So we'll quickly read a very small paragraph, not a big one. A superficial observation, not even a deep observation, he's saying, okay, of our waking consciousness, not sleeping consciousness, not the intraconscious, but the waking consciousness, shows us that a great part of our individual being and becoming, we are quite ignorant. We don't know so many things that happen to us. Is it not true that sometimes you feel something vague unease? Okay, sometimes it can happen, or you feel very happy, but you don't know the cause. So there are causes for that, but we are not conscious. Sometimes you will feel depressed. I feel that sometimes I am worried a little bit, and when I look very carefully, I see that there are 5 or 6 problems which are there in the background worrying me. If only one problem is there, it doesn't worry me too much. But I find that if there are several, then there is an unrest in the being. But we don't know the source of that. Okay, that's what it is. A great part of our individual being and becoming, we are quite ignorant. It is to us the inconscient just as much as the life of the plant, the metal, the earth, the elements. The elements are all the, when you say elements, you mean gold, silver, platinum, iron, aluminium, all these are the elements. But if we carry our knowledge farther, not superficial but little more, pushing psychological experiment and observation beyond their normal limit bounds, that means you are entering into the either the intraconscient or the supraconscient. There you know much more, you see much more. We find how vast is the sphere of the supposed inconscient or the subconscious in our total existence. The subconscious, so seeming and so called by us, because it is a concealed consciousness, and what a waking mind and ego are, okay, where is it gone? And what a small and lost page. One second. And what a small and fragmentary portion of our being is covered by our waking self-awareness. What we are conscious of is so little. Okay, that's what it is. We arrive at the knowledge that our waking mind and ego are only a superimposition. Okay? Superimposition, something that is placed on top of something else. Imposition, superimposition. Okay? Upon a submerged subliminal self. For so that self appears to us. Now, here again another typical Smithsonian grammatical invention, comma dash. Okay? Subliminal self. So he is using the word subliminal self, comma dash, and that's a parenthetical phrase. For so that self appears to us. Okay? Subliminal. Or more accurately, an inner being. So, note carefully, he is describing the subliminal self as the inner being. That's why I say that you have got, when you enter into yourself horizontally, you can call it the subliminal being, you can call it the inner being, and you can also call it the intraconscient. Okay, so it's all equivalent terms. Okay, when you go deep into yourself, that's it. There's an inner mind, there's an inner vital, and there's an inner physical also. A subtle physical. All this is inside yourself, not above, inside yourself. An inner being with a much vaster capacity of experience. That's the reason why you can go into your intraconscious and have a cosmic experience. You can have a cosmic consciousness. Much vaster capacity of experience. Our mind and ego are like the crown and dome of a temple jutting out from the waves, while the great body of the building is submerged under the surface of our waters. Srila could have used also the image of the iceberg, but he is not using the iceberg. There is a suggestion also that a human being is really divine. Okay, so he is not just an iceberg. That's a temple. Okay, the crown and dome. The crown and dome are at level 3. Okay, and you get to realize that. But what you are seeing now, what he is saying is, what your waking consciousness is only the dome of the building. Much of it is below, which you don't know about. Jutting out from the waves, while the great body of the building is submerged under the surface of the waters. So, it is 8:36. We have got 4 minutes. Maybe we can read if it's not too big. Let me see how big it is. I'm not able to see. So we'll leave it for next time. Okay. So this conceals self and consciousness. Okay. So Sunki, make a note. See how little
Yes.
we know of ourselves.
Yes.
This is the ignorance that he's talking about. Okay, we stop today. So have a nice day, everybody.
Thank you, Rangada.
Thank you, Rangana.